It's not just an industry, it is, I think, everybody as individual needs to start thinking sustainability in whatever practice they do. Success in my role would be a lot of things, but if you ask me and if you give me an opportunity to define the parameter of success, is that how and when in an ever evolving ecosystem, digital as a function is able to drive business, because that is something I think is of paramount importance for any brand, any individual who is working and driving digital transformation, or probably activating media to reach out to the consumer. Uh, Business targets are at the forefront, and then of course there are other pieces which you look at. One of them is like how efficiently you are reaching out to your target consumers, how effectively you are communicating the message to your target consumer. So all these other things have to be put together, because at the end of the day, the main objective is to drive the business numbers and business goals. So the success will always be the business numbers which we drive. It's not just an industry, it is, I think, everybody as individual needs to start thinking sustainability in whatever practice they do. Right from you wake up in the morning to when you go to sleep, we have to attune ourselves to uh, at least strive towards a more sustainable future. Of course, in your day-to-day habits, you can drive that, but at the same point of time, when at a larger level, when organizations look at it, they are also consciously looking at it, whether it is in terms of sourcing materials, whether it is in terms of using renewable sources of energy, whether it is in terms of reducing wastage. A lot of these things, I think, uh, fall into the place for all the brands, and I think as the people of this earth, it is our whole soul responsibility to look at a sustainable future, because we just don't want to live on this earth and then not leave anything for our next generation. I think it has evolved a lot, and it has evolved for a very good reason. Uh, and if I take a step back and probably go back maybe a decade, when it was probably the appropriate time and kind of a digital inflection which was happening in the country, and I'm just taking India as an example, we have come a long way. So gone are the days when digital marketing or mobile marketing were just one of those checkmark activities brands used to do. Right now, I think every brand starts thinking digital first, purely because of the fact is that most of the end consumers are nowadays digitally savvy, they are digitally connected, and that gives an opportunity to the brands to reach out to them in the best possible way. And of course, it's a small screen which is there with you all the time. So brands also try and take that opportunity to reach out to the consumer at the right moment, at the right time, with the correct messaging to tell their stories, and of course drive them to a purchase behavior. Already started impacting the performance marketing, because the good part is that for a lot of things which are I say effort intensive, you don't need um, a man to man that thing. So for example, if it is in terms of campaign optimization and everything, which earlier used to happen, like where an individual who is sitting there is probably trying to look at bid optimization, trying to look at copy optimization, and all those things. Nowadays, you don't need that. I think nowadays that same individual can probably spend more time in strategizing about next level things, and when it comes to just the operation things, or probably at the speed at which things can be optimized, that can be taken care by AI. So yes, even at L'Oreal, we have started leveraging AI very judiciously. I won't say like putting it in every nook and corner and trying to leverage its power, because I think the whole idea is to understand the uh, power and potential of the medium properly, and then leverage it to the best possible way. So whether it is leveraging it to create content, or whether it is leveraging it to activate and amplify a campaign, we have been judiciously doing. Every brand is trying to grab that 6 inches real estate screen, which everybody is probably carrying 12 to 18 hours a day. Probably only time when somebody's sleeping is, and even during that time, the mobile phone is most likely at a 2 feet distance of a consumer. So uh, the fact is that it's an always on medium for all the consumers, and the consumers are also hooked onto that medium for anything and everything which they have been doing. So it becomes even more important for all the brands to acquire that real estate for majority of the time, or as many times as possible in a day or a week. So it is difficult for sure. The only way probably is we as brands need to look at it is that what is the value which we are adding to a consumer's life. So whether it is in terms of any kind of communication, which technically is an advertisement, which we are giving to the end user, how how much value which we are adding to that end user, that is something which we need to be very cognizant of. But yeah, of course, I'll go back to the main point where you are saying that is it tough? Is it cluttered? Yes, of course it is cluttered. And at the end of the day, it's a small screen, and your content is just a click away. You don't even like. Gone are the days when people are like thinking of changing a channel or flipping through the pages of a newspaper or changing the channel of a radio. Here, it's just a flick of a thumb, and then immediately your content will go away. So I think brands also need to be very, very cautious about what they are doing, how they are doing, is there any value they are adding to a consumer's life, so that they stay on those pieces of content, which is technically advertisement,